After my mom divorced my dad, she got married in a flash to the richest man in the country. The court awarded my elder sister to my mom, but she went crazy on the spot, cursing my mom as a bitch and absolutely refusing to go with my mom no matter what. I looked at her with bloodshot eyes, showing a stubborn expression. I quickly rushed up and hugged my mom. Mom, I can't bear to part with you. Can you take me with you? Then I didn't hesitate to change my surname and became the daughter of the top wealthy Robinson family. From then on, I stood on a high place and watched the father and daughter who had caused my miserable death in my previous life step by step fall from their pedestal and fall into a desperate situation. My mom is very good looking, and she is in no way inferior to the celebrities on TV dramas. So I have always thought that my mom and my dad would separate sooner or later. Sure enough, my mom brought up the divorce with my dad. She was going to get married in a flash and become a wealthy wife in the top-notch Robinson family. In court, the judge awarded my elder sister to my mom, but she went crazy on the spot, cursing my mom as a bitch and absolutely refusing to go with my mom no matter what. I looked at her with bloodshot eyes, showing a stubborn expression. I quickly rushed up and hugged my mom. Mom, I can't bear to part with you. Can you take me with you? I was crying with snot and tears, looking so pitiful. Big tears were falling one by one, and even the judge felt like slapping himself twice. After this series of astonishing actions, my mom and the judge made a prompt decision to change the judgment. I had to hold back my overwhelming joy and, with swollen eyes, get into the black Rolls-Royce with my mom. As the car drove away, I let out a long sigh of relief. I clenched my fists. This time, I don't want to be as miserable as I was in my last life anymore. Having a second chance at life, I want to make myself shine as much as possible. Looking at the two figures gradually fading away behind me, I felt an indescribable sense of pleasure in my heart. Although I haven't completely gotten rid of these two crazy people, at least I haven't fallen back into that hellish home again, in this life. I don't want to be driven crazy by these two hypocritical psychopaths and be their stepping stone again. Just thinking of the memories of my previous life makes me feel disgusted. This father and daughter put on an air of being noble and self-restrained in front of others, maintaining the airs of intellectuals, but behind the scenes, they are completely rotten. Especially my dear elder sister likes to put on an appearance of not fearing power and striving to improve herself, so in my previous life, just like in this life, my elder sister Wendy absolutely refused to go with my mom. She hysterically accused my mom of giving up the family for money. After all, in her eyes, our professor dad was like a god to her. She wanted to fall with her god, but she didn't let me go. She had already planned it out. Dad, is there really no chance for you and mom to get back together? Sister secretly told me that she doesn't want to go with mom. Dad, please don't let me and sister down. Then, as she expected, in court, my dad, who had never liked me, took the initiative to ask for me in front of the judge. I wasn't surprised at all. The moment he opened his mouth, I saw Wendy's mouth twitch slightly into a smile, which was well hidden, but I, who had been reborn, saw it clearly. Turning around, she started hysterically accusing my mom. I don't want you. You don't want dad anymore. Why can't you give me a complete family? You'll never be welcomed after you marry into that family. You don't want your own biological daughter and go to be someone else's stepmother, then we don't want you either. I have to say that Wendy's acting skills are really good. Even though I experienced it again, I was still stunned for a moment by her explosive power, but I quickly came to my senses and threw myself into my mom's arms, who was already in tears. I still felt a bit sorry for this woman. I said my lines in a trembling voice. Mom, I can't bear to part with you. Can you take me with you? Then I was crying with snot and tears, looking so pitiful. Big tears were falling one by one, and even the judge felt like slapping himself twice. After this series of astonishing actions, my mom and the judge made a prompt decision to change the judgment. At this moment, I clearly saw the panic on Wendy's face, followed by an expression of grievance and disappointment. It was as if the whole world had betrayed her. My dad quickly ran up and hugged her, coaxing her softly, just like before. Since they have such a deep father-daughter relationship, I hope you two are locked together for the rest of your lives. I won't be soft-hearted because I know that Wendy has always been a smart person with a strong sense of purpose. It's a pity that I didn't see this clearly until I died in my previous life. I also know that she doesn't really dislike money. Instead, she likes it more than anyone else. But she is greedy. she wants both money and fame, so. Just like in my previous life, on the surface, she couldn't accept my mom's departure and went crazy in court, but behind the scenes, she deliberately let my mom see her embarrassment again and again. My mom felt guilty and treated her even better, always wanting to take her away and make her a young lady. However, she knew just how far to go and refused again and again. Then she continued to be busy building an image with my hypocritical dad and making friends with the big shots in the academic circle. Finally, in the second semester of her junior year, she published 3 SCI papers in a row. In her senior year, she was directly recommended to Harvard University in the United States and was called a genius girl by everyone. Then she decisively and quickly kicked my dad and me aside and became the eldest daughter of the Robinson family. In my previous life, I was always immersed in the emotions caused by my parents' separation and stupidly went back to my dad's home with Wendy. As a result, in the second half of my life, I was so exhausted from taking care of these two hypocritical intellectuals that I fainted and had a serious illness. When I woke up, I was drugged by the two of them and sent to the bed of a beast, just so that they could apply for $100,000 in experimental funds. How ridiculous that is. The two of them kept saying that they hated the smell of money, but all their food, clothing, and experimental funds were exchanged for me. It's really disgusting. In this new life, my goal is very clear. I want to leave this father and daughter who are worse than pigs and dogs and, by the way, carry out a little revenge. Of course, I don't want to give up the title of the eldest daughter of the Robinson family either. So after returning to the Robinson family with my mom, I immediately changed my surname. There was no longer Judy Duncan in the world. Only Judy Robinson. When I proposed this idea, my mom was a bit surprised. On the contrary, my stepfather, Uncle Robinson, was very touched and immediately gave me a black card that shone with a dazzling light. Thank you, Uncle Robinson. I obediently accepted it. After all, I'm not as fake as Wendy. There's nothing embarrassing about wanting something. Then I calmly walked in front of my mom and patted her. You have a good eye this time. After that, I slowly went upstairs to choose my room. I have to say that it's really great to be rich. I'm in a good mood just looking at this magnificent villa. A trash bin here is worth 3 months of my previous life's work. Just as I was still immersed in joy, I accidentally bumped into an embrace that exuded a faint fragrance. It was like the warm sun in summer, making me feel refreshed. I looked up and met a pair of deep eyes with a hint of disdain. This is just like the Mary Sue plot in a TV drama. I was just about to swallow my saliva. The next second, I was pushed away with great force. Hello, little sister. A cold and terrifying voice came from downstairs. When I looked again in a daze, that person only left me with an indifferent and distant back. I touched my nose awkwardly. I guessed who this person was. He was Uncle Robinson's only son, Marcus, and he would soon be the future head of the Robinson family. He is a proper domineering president. There weren't many memories of him in my previous life, so I didn't think too much about it. In the following days, nothing happened. My mom and Uncle Robinson were lovey-dovey every day, putting on a show of a domineering president falling in love with me in front of me and Marcus. My little heart was constantly being impacted every day. Marcus, on the other hand, was very calm. I don't know if he has a poker face, but in any case, I haven't seen any other expressions on him from the first time I saw him until now. He is as cold and aloof as ever. And I don't dare to provoke him. I can only stay as far away from him as possible. After all, I have a lot of things to do. Not long after entering the Robinson family, I basically adapted to the life of a young lady. After spending some money in the mall with the card given by Uncle Robinson, I took out my latest iPhone. I tirelessly continued to send verification messages to my elder sister. A week ago, after I sent her messages again and again, "Sister, the Robinson family is really rich. Uncle Robinson gave me a watch yesterday, and it can buy the best house on our X road. Sister, what should I do? Uncle Robinson wants me to attend the socialite gathering in City R tomorrow. Will I make a fool of myself? Woo woo. Sister, Uncle Robinson transferred me to the best private school in City R. It seems to be the one you got into. Sister, when are you coming out? I'll take you to have Western food." Then I was deleted by her, helplessly. I had to start sending verification messages to my dear elder sister every few days, with my show-off remarks in the notes. Then I was blocked by her. I didn't care at all because I was just trying to make her unhappy. 2 weeks later, I was officially transferred to Class A, the best class in one middle school. Of course, all of this was thanks to Uncle Robinson, who had the power of money. Hello, everyone. My name is Judy Robinson. I stood on the podium introducing myself. But there were bursts of sneers from the classmates below. So this is the new fake socialite of the Robinson family. It's bad enough that her mom has no shame, but her daughter, TSK, changed her surname as soon as she came here, as if she's afraid that others won't know her true face. Exactly. But don't say, she does look quite good, so what if she looks good? She's still a fake young lady. Listening to the various discussions about me below, I remained calm. I had experienced a lot of such things in my previous life. I have a very strong heart, of course. I know that my dear elder sister must have had a hand in all of this. In my previous life, I couldn't compare with her. She was admitted to this prestigious school with her good grades, which made my dad proud for a long time. Now, seeing that her younger sister, who has always lived in her shadow, suddenly stands at the same height as her or even shines brighter than her, she can't be happy at all. I glanced indifferently at Wendy, who was sitting there concentrating on doing the questions, and didn't greet her. It seemed as if the harassment from some time ago didn't exist. When I carried my limited edition school bag in the country and walked backward, I saw that there was only one empty seat in the whole class. Everyone looked like they were waiting to see a good show, but I just smiled. Isn't this my dear elder brother? I calmly sat down. Marcus beside me didn't even raise his eyes. Very good, he is as cold and aloof as ever. I like it. After waiting for a few minutes, seeing that Marcus didn't mean to drive me away, the people in the class who wanted to see me make a fool of myself were also shocked. In the crowd, I saw Wendy also turn her head and give me a deep look. I pretended not to see it and started to focus on the class. After all, having a second chance at life, I understand a lot of truths, such as studying hard in high school and getting into a good university. So I began to immerse myself in my studies and couldn't extricate myself. As a result, many classmates who wanted to cause trouble for me saw that I was just sitting beside Marcus, behaving myself and doing practice questions, and gradually lost interest. In addition, Uncle Robinson specially held a dinner party for me and announced that I was the eldest daughter of the Robinson family. Many shrewd businessmen also knew that Uncle Robinson really valued me. The children in this school are all from wealthy families, and people in the same circle naturally knew about it. They didn't dare to provoke me anymore, and some even went out of their way to please me. However, there are always some people who don't have good judgment. Rena, Wendy's desk mate, is one of them. After I managed to move the top 200 in the midterm exam, she accused me of cheating in front of the whole class. I know she used to be from School S. If it weren't for her connection with the Robinson family, how could she possibly be here? It's strange if she could keep up with the studies. What she said was indeed true, but she didn't know that although in my previous life my studies couldn't match Wendy's, I was still the top student in School S. After deciding to study hard in this life, Uncle Robinson specially hired a tutor for me. So I calmly walked up and grabbed Rena by the neck. I cheated, did you see it? Perhaps feeling humiliated by being grabbed like this, Rena's face turned red. Let me go, you did cheat. And I'm not allowed to say it. Is that so? Then let's go. Her momentum weakened a bit. She tried to pull my hand but couldn't reach it, so she gritted her teeth and said, "Let me go." "Where are we going?" "To the dean's office to check the surveillance cameras," I said calmly and composedly. "If there's no evidence of me cheating, you'll be waiting for me to sue you for slander. I'm sure you know about the Robinson family's lawyer team." Pretending to do so, I dragged Rena towards the door. She let out a scream in fear but still kept scolding me. At this moment, just as I expected, my sanctimonious elder sister came over. "Judy, let go of Rena, she was just joking. Why do you have to take it to heart? But you know I'm very petty." I turned my head to look at her and smiled slightly. "By the way, my surname is Robinson now. I'm not your sister anymore." While we were pulling and tugging, our homeroom teacher, Mr. Lee, came over. He was in his 30s and asked amiably, "What's going on?" Rena didn't say anything. Wendy, maintaining her composure, said, "It's just that Rena and my sister were joking around." Rena said that she cheated in the exam. After all, her studies weren't good before, and she just joined our class not long ago but managed to get into the top 200. My sister has always had a bad temper, so they started arguing with each other. what a hypocrite. It seemed like she was trying to explain things for me, but in fact, she was trying to confirm that I had cheated and also reminded everyone that I had a bad temper. Why didn't I learn these tricks from her in my previous life? As I watched her standing there with a frown, Mr. Lee's gaze was fixed on her. He completely believed her words and was about to scold me. I pushed Rena and said, "Rena, were you just joking with me?" Before Rena could speak, I continued, "I just remembered, Wendy, I always see you coming out of Mr. Lee's office after school, and you always bring breakfast for Mr. Lee. Don't you have a crush on Mr. Lee?" As soon as I finished speaking, Wendy's face turned pale instantly, and she stood there at a loss. Mr. Lee's expression changed from embarrassment to distress. "Judy, what are you talking nonsense about? If you spread rumors about me, I'll give you a disciplinary warning. Don't take it seriously." "I was just joking," I said indifferently, making Wendy so angry that she almost lost her breath. In the end, to deal with this matter, we still went to the dean's office. Uncle Robinson had donated a sum of money last month, and the cameras in all the classrooms in the school were upgraded. It was clearly shown that I didn't cheat, however, because I spread rumors about a student and a teacher. Both Rena and I were given a warning. When I walked back into the classroom, I deliberately passed by Wendy's seat. I lowered my head and whispered in her ear, "Dear sister, it seems that Mr. Lee really likes you." Wendy's body trembled violently, and then I happily returned to my seat. After all, with the memories of my previous life, I know this Mr. Lee, because she couldn't afford a tutor. Wendy found it difficult to maintain her top 10 ranking in the grade, after realizing that Mr. Lee had a favorable impression of people with the image of being poor but hardworking. She began to approach Mr. Lee to ask questions, starting from asking questions during breaks to having him give her makeup lessons after school. I have to say that she is very smart and charming. After all, judging from Mr. Lee's reaction today, he probably has fallen for Wendy, so I've got my first handle on her. However, if she stops here, I won't be able to do anything to her. It depends on what she does next. For a while after that, Wendy didn't dare to incite others to cause trouble, and to avoid suspicion, she didn't dare to continue approaching Mr. Lee. Sure enough, her grades dropped a lot in the final exam. Watching her sitting in her seat as usual, with the test paper in her hand crumpled, I was in a really good mood. Recently, Marcus's attitude towards me has improved a lot. He's not as cold and aloof as he was at the beginning. I started calling him brother all the time. I know he has a lot of influence, and if I can rely on him, my status as the young lady of the Yi family will be more stable. Under my harassment, he finally reluctantly agreed that I could ask him for help with the questions I didn't understand, but he set a rule, at most half an hour a day. Don't bother me at other times. Sure thing. So I made a lot of progress in the final exam and almost caught up with Wendy. The summer vacation arrived, and I saw Wendy in the Robinson family's villa area. Sure enough, the plot from my previous life is unfolding, so at the dinner table, I casually said, "Mom, didn't you tell me a few days ago that you wanted to spend the summer in Malrav? You said it had always been your dream. When are we going?" "I want to go with you." "Oh, that was just an idea from my younger days, you child. Your Uncle Robinson is so busy, and I need to take care of him," my mom said with a shy expression. I secretly glanced at Uncle Robinson, and he was indeed listening very attentively. The next day, when I went downstairs for breakfast, I saw Marcus sitting alone at the dining table, where our Uncle Robinson and my mom, the nanny, Molly, replied, "Sir and Madam have gone on vacation to Malrav. They probably won't be back for half a month." Sure enough, I couldn't help but feel delighted. Marcus was sitting opposite me with his arms crossed, looking at me with an understanding expression, which made me quickly suppress my emotions. Seeing that he was still looking at me, I quickly changed the subject. "Brother, it's just the two of us at home now. You have to be nice to me, or I'll tell on you." The corner of Marcus's mouth turned up slightly. "Oh, how should I be nice to you?" As he said this, he handed me a glass of milk. I was suddenly speechless. This guy didn't even bother to talk to me before. Now that he suddenly replied, I was a bit at a loss. I had to bury my head and wolf down 3 big meat buns to relieve the embarrassment. Marcus on the opposite side was drinking the porridge in his bowl gracefully while looking at me. It was as if he was trying to stare a hole through me, so I quickly finished eating and left. In the following days, I saw Wendy wandering around our villa area, because she deliberately dressed very simply. Even shabbily, she was driven away by the community security guards several times. After not meeting my mom for a whole week, Wendy finally left dejectedly. One day, I changed into a delicate little dress and was about to go out. "Where are you going?" A familiar voice suddenly came from behind. I subconsciously shrank my neck and stood there stunned, just as I was thinking about what kind of excuse to come up with. Marcus thoughtfully opened the door for me and picked up his car keys. "Let's go. I'll give you a ride." I turned around stiffly and stammered, "I'm just going shopping with my little sisters. We can take a taxi." "It's too much trouble for you," Marcus said in an unyielding tone. "Didn't you say that there are only the two of us at home and asked me to take care of you?" I was still trying to persuade him. Marcus seemed not to have heard me. He gently pushed me. When I stepped out of the door behind me had already closed. Then I somehow found myself in front of Marcus's red sports car, looking at the two-seater cool sports car. I was excited in my heart, but I still weakly said, "Brother, I made an appointment with my little sisters." "Troublesome," I only heard him say impatiently. Finally, he changed to a Bentley. Just as I opened the rear door and was about to get in, Marcus's voice sounded again. "Sit in the front," in a commanding tone. I could only secretly complain in my heart that this guy must have read too many novels about domineering presidents. "Hurry up," he said again, and I quickly climbed into the passenger seat. After picking up my newly made good friend Lucy, we went to the mall nervously, with Marcus following us with a cold expression and his arms crossed. "Your brother is so handsome. Can I add his WeChat?" I was still feeling nervous, but Lucy asked me with a lovesick expression on her face, and she couldn't help but keep glancing in that direction with her eyes. I secretly took a look at Marcus and saw that his eyebrows were furrowed so tightly that they could crush a mosquito, so I pulled Lucy over and whispered in her ear, "Don't have any ideas about him. He likes men." Lucy opened her mouth wide in disbelief. Sure enough, after being shocked, there was only curiosity in her eyes when she looked at Marcus. Then she dragged me to go on a shopping spree in various luxury stores. After shopping for a while, I deliberately led Lucy around to a coffee shop. With the memories of my previous life, I know that Wendy works part-time here, and today the school bully, Raymond, will fall in love at first sight with her in this coffee shop. It's just because she accidentally spilled coffee on Raymond. And Raymond noticed this girl who was working part-time to support her studies. After that, they met several times, and Raymond launched a strong pursuit of her. I remember that in my previous life, Raymond was head over heels in love with Wendy. The plot was similar to that of a handsome school bully falling in love with a hard-working good student. So Wendy managed to thrive in the prestigious school with the help of the school bully Raymond. Not only was she not bullied by the rich kids, but she finally managed to get the quota to be recommended to Tsinghua University and Peking University. I originally planned to sacrifice my charm to win over Raymond first, but after sending him harassing text messages for a week in a row, he didn't reply to me at all, so I had to come here to ruin their date. So Lucy and I walked into the coffee shop arrogantly, putting on the airs of young ladies. By my deliberate carelessness, Lucy passed by Raymond's table, and the cup of coffee that was supposed to be spilled on Raymond's clothes was spilled on Lucy's limited edition dress, accompanied by Lucy's scream, "Ah!" Wendy took a big step back, seeing that she was about to fall into Raymond's arms. I stepped forward and pulled her back. Then I lost my balance and fell forward. I was secretly delighted that I was about to touch Raymond when a pair of big hands pulled me back. Then a cold aura came from above. Marcus looked at me with a cold face. I shrank my neck and was about to back out, but he held me firmly and wouldn't let me move. While I was still struggling, there was a slap sound. I saw 5 clear finger marks on Wendy's face. Then her eyes turned red. She looked at Lucy with a look of grievance and stubbornness. She really looked pitiful. "What are you looking at? You're in big trouble. Do you know how much this dress costs? You have to pay for it." I have to say that a young lady like Lucy who was brought up in a pampered environment is better than me. She exuded an air of arrogance in every gesture, and I couldn't help but want to applaud. But thinking of Marcus behind me, I finally held back. "I didn't do it on purpose. You don't have to look down on people like this." Wendy spoke up. She was still being stubborn. Lucy only asked her to pay for the dress, but she interpreted it as being looked down upon and didn't mention anything about paying for it. If an uninformed person saw this scene, It would seem that we were bullying a girl who was working part-time to support her studies. Looking at her strong expression, even I couldn't help but want to step forward and help. Sure enough, many people looked over, and some even tried to persuade us, "Miss, she's also a student working part-time. She didn't do it on purpose, just let it go." I said unhurriedly, "I don't know if she did it on purpose or not, but I know that the dress my friend is wearing is a birthday gift from her dad. It's a limited edition dress in the whole country. It may not be available even with over $100,000. I wonder if you would just let it go if it were you." Lucy's eyes were red with anger. "I don't care. If you don't pay for it today, I'll tear you apart." Perhaps Wendy just noticed me. She turned around and saw Marcus behind me. Her face turned pale. When she heard the price of over $100,000, she seemed even more unsteady on her feet and looked extremely pitiful. Then she turned to Raymond for help. Only then did I realize that Raymond was just sitting there with a smile, watching the show, and had no intention of coming to her aid. Wendy's action was a bit embarrassing. Finally, she turned to me with difficulty. "Sister, you know, this was the prelude to making me the one to bear the loss." I quickly took a big step back. And this time Marcus didn't stop me. "Hey, don't call me, my surname is Yi. I'm not familiar with you." I quickly hid behind Marcus. Wendy's face was pale. Presumably, she didn't expect me to be so heartless. When she saw that none of the boys beside her were willing to help her, she closed her eyes and fainted. Raymond quickly moved aside, as if he was afraid of being accused of something. Finally, the coffee shop owner came to mediate. He fired Wendy on the spot and said that we should deal with the compensation privately. I saw the owner take out his phone. After waiting for a while, I saw my dad arrive late. He looked at Wendy lying on the ground with a heartbroken expression, and then he looked at me and asked, just like he had questioned me countless times before, "What happened to your sister? Is it because of you? You've grown up now. She's your own sister. How could you let her be bullied like this?" You see, my dad is always like this. Although I'm also his daughter, because my studies can't keep up with Wendy's, he has been very indifferent to me since I was a child. He often said that I'm not like him and how it's impossible for his family to have such a stupid daughter. Even when I studied hard and was only a few points behind Wendy, he still couldn't see me and gave all his fatherly love to her, in order to seek this fatherly love. In the previous life, when he asked for me in court, I was extremely happy. Finally, I was disappointed again and again under his mistreatment, so now I no longer have the expectations I once had for him. I said indifferently, "You don't have to blame me. After all, you're not my dad now. Moreover, this is something your good daughter did. What does it have to do with me?" David's eyes were red. Just as he was about to scold me again, the coffee shop owner, being perceptive, told the truth of the matter. Then I saw David immediately change his tone. "Judy, she's your own sister. You know she's always been very obedient and works part-time to support her studies. Do you think you can?" Sure enough, he started moralizing. Just as I was about to speak, Marcus cut in first. "Mr. David, now Judy is a member of my Robinson family and has nothing to do with you." After saying that, he took out his phone and was about to call the police. David panicked at this. "We'll pay for it. Don't call the police. My daughter still has to take the college entrance examination." Indeed, a father's love can be so deep. Suddenly, my heart ached a bit, and Marcus instinctively supported me. In the end, David took out his card to pay for the damage. Looking heartbroken, after making several phone calls, he barely managed to scrape together the money and carried Wendy away on his back. Looking at their backs, even though I had achieved my goal, I wasn't as happy as I had expected. Soon, my senior year of high school arrived. I didn't deliberately cause trouble for Wendy, and she didn't make any more trouble either. After all, what's the point of playing a cat-and-mouse game if the mouse is killed right away? Moreover, what she has done so far isn't enough to make her fall from her pedestal completely. However, there was one thing that really troubled me. That was that for some reason, the school bully Raymond suddenly replied to my message. I pretended not to see it. Then he came to my class to look for me. "Judy, or should I call you Beauty Girl?" I was really embarrassed in public. Raymond suddenly laughed and said gently, "I think you're quite interesting. Regarding what you sent me before, I've thought about it." Before Raymond could finish, I quickly interrupted him. With my eloquence, I explained for a full 15 minutes, clearly stating that I had sent the message by mistake and didn't mean anything by it. After hearing me out, Raymond wasn't angry. He just smiled and left with his lackeys. I thought that was the end of it, but unexpectedly, Raymond started a vigorous pursuit of me. Then I became even more popular in school, and the way many girls looked at me became more and more terrifying. Marcus's attitude towards me also got worse day by day, as long as I took a little longer to pack my things after school. His cold gaze could kill me. However, this situation led to the fact that every time Raymond came to our class, I saw Wendy clenching her fists tightly under her desk, as if she was about to dig her nails into her flesh, so I had to pretend to chat with Raymond a bit more. Finally, Marcus grabbed my collar and dragged me back. Suddenly, one day, my tutor suddenly quit his job. He said that his third aunt was sick and in the hospital, so Uncle Robinson suggested that Marcus help me with my studies. I thought he would refuse, but to my surprise, he simply said, "Okay." I was shocked but didn't dare to say anything, so my life was basically filled with studying and doing homework, and the only entertainment time I had was to keep an eye on Wendy. I found that after her grades dropped a lot, she approached Mr. Lee again. Mr. Lee warmly invited her to his home for tutoring, and Wendy didn't refuse. But her grades didn't improve much, and she became more and more haggard and anxious. I thought that this time she wouldn't do as well in the college entrance examination as she did in the previous life, but she still got the same score as in the previous life. I couldn't help but wonder if she had also been reborn. After several probes, I found out that she wasn't, but her score was indeed very suspicious. Before I had time to start the investigation, I discovered a big secret of Wendy's. It was a secret that I didn't even know in my previous life. On the night of the graduation ceremony, as an outstanding graduate giving a speech, as soon as I stepped down from the stage, I saw Wendy leaving, and I couldn't help but follow her. During this time, countless possibilities flashed through my mind, but I never expected that the scene I saw was Wendy, wearing a white dress, standing in front of Marcus. Wendy said in a gentle and affectionate voice, "Marcus, I like you." It was short and straightforward. I really didn't expect these words to come out of her mouth. I was so shocked that I opened my mouth wide. Wendy actually liked Marcus. I instinctively shrank back, trying my best not to let the two of them notice me. Marcus didn't react at all. He even had an indifferent expression and didn't even have the intention of responding to Wendy. He turned around and was about to come in my direction. While I was still thinking about whether to run or not, Wendy, with a red face and her hand tightly clutching the hem of her dress, took 2 steps forward and said, "Marcus, I've actually liked you for a very long time. For you, I studied hard and got into one middle school. I tried my best to be in the same class as you. Do you remember? I'm not interested." Marcus's words were cruel, and even I started to feel sorry for my dear sister. Thinking about it this way, many things from the previous life can be explained. The reason why she refused to enter the Robinson family at first was probably because of this. Did she not want to become Marcus's sister because she liked him? Then what about later? Why did she choose to enter the Robinson family? Was Marcus also a reason? It's getting more and more interesting. I turned around and was about to go back to the private room when Marcus, with his quick steps, grabbed my shoulder. When I turned around again, I bumped into his arms. When Wendy chased out, she saw the scene of me and Marcus embracing each other. Her pupils shrank, as if I had done something unforgivable. She was so angry that she was shaking all over. "Is it because you seduced him that he refused me?" After saying that, she looked at Marcus again. "What's so good about her? She's not as good as me in anything." "Why her?" She was hysterically questioning and going crazy again. But Marcus didn't even bother to give her a glance. Wendy was shaking with anger. While Marcus took my hand and led me back to the auditorium, I think Wendy should hate me even more than she did in the previous life. After all, in the previous life, I gave in to her in everything, and she still couldn't stand to see me do well. She always found ways to belittle me and step on me. In fact, when I was very young, my father was quite nice to me. He would buy 2 of everything. But soon Wendy would break hers and then run crying to my dad. After that, my dad's eyes would become colder and colder when he looked at me. In the end, he would only buy things for Wendy. I cried and made a fuss, but all I got in return was a sentence: "You're a born bad seed. You don't deserve to have the same things as your sister." How could my own father call his daughter a born bad seed? I went to my mom, but what I got in return was my dad scolding me for being a habitual liar. As a result, my mom also thought Wendy was more sensible. Wendy and my dad then started threatening me. As long as I told my mom what happened, they would scold and humiliate me even more. Why did you touch your sister's things again? How can you be so jealous? Don't cry. I won't buy it for you even if you cry. Just borrow your sister's. But don't break it. After bullying me every time, my dear sister would say to me, "You're so disobedient. Don't go embarrass yourself in front of mom. What if she doesn't want you anymore?" Just like that. I became more and more inferior and dim. It's said that the child who cries gets the candy. Why didn't I? But people are always foolish. Even though they treated me like this, I still longed for that meager affection. When my dad said to me, "Judy, don't blame dad. I'm doing this to make you better. Your mom is gone, and I'll take good care of you. In the future, whatever your sister has, you'll have too. I only have you two sisters. You have to be sensible, okay?" I was so stupid that I was dragged down to hell by them. I still remember the overwhelming abuse when the photos of me and Wendy's college professor in bed were exposed. Wendy stood in front of me triumphantly with her admission letter from Harvard and said, "You see, you've never beaten me from childhood to adulthood. Don't blame me, blame your birth. Without you, I would be the only child of mom and dad, and all their love would be for me. You just had to compete with me. Mom was going to take me back to the Robinson family to be a young lady and even wanted to take you back. You said, 'How do you deserve it? You don't deserve to stand beside me at all.' Since I couldn't change her mind, I had to destroy you." I looked at this sister whom I had once looked up to with despair. Why, just because I'm her sister. Clearly, all the love from our parents went to her since we were little. Why couldn't she stand even the tiny bit of love I got? It hurt so much, so much. In order to end everything, I chose to jump off the building, not wanting to leave myself any room for retreat. At the high school graduation party, I saw Wendy, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. She was wearing a white dress and seemed to be the same haughty and favored person by everyone as in the previous life. Since she likes to pretend so much, then I'll expose her true face for the me in the previous life. When she saw me, a flash of hatred passed through her eyes. Then she slowly walked up to me with 2 glasses of wine in her hands. She calmly handed me one and said, "Happy graduation, sister." I smiled faintly at her and said, "I don't dare to drink what you give me. After all, I haven't forgotten the time when I drank the milk you gave me and ended up in the hospital." At that time, in order to gain my dad's attention, I studied desperately and managed to catch up with Wendy, but I didn't expect that this move would anger her. She directly added chestnut powder, which I'm allergic to my milk, making me end up in the hospital and miss the exam. Wendy didn't feel guilty at that time, and when I told my dad, he didn't care either. It seemed that what she did was completely right, but now, she still smartly pretended to feel guilty. However, her acting skills were so fake that there were many loopholes. Even so, she still acted sincerely. "I didn't mean any harm, I just wanted to apologize to you, on a whim." I snatched the other glass from her hand and pushed the glass she had handed me to her mouth. I smiled brightly and said to her, "Cheers." Then I touched the phone in my pocket. At first, a look of panic flashed across her face. After I drank a glass, she suddenly smiled and then tilted her head back and drank it down. I panicked in my heart. I was too careless. I turned around and wanted to run, but she grabbed my hand tightly. Then my dad pushed the door open and came in. He had a concerned look on his face, just like a normal loving father. He came up to support me and said, "Oh, Judy, why did you drink so much? Dad will take you home." My first reaction was to refuse. "Let go, you're not my dad." Then I quickly turned to my classmates who were still eating and drinking and said, "Help me, quick, I'm not going with them." But everyone didn't show much emotion when they saw this scene. They even smiled and said to me, "Judy, you've had too much to drink. Let your dad take you home first." I'm afraid no one would have thought that a father would hurt his own daughter, right? Moreover, this dad was a famous university teacher. I understood in my heart that they knew that Wendy and I didn't get along, but they didn't know the grudge between me and my dad. "Stop shouting. Who do you think can save you?" Wendy's sinister voice came when we walked out of the private room. Then I was taken to the 5th floor by them, and there I saw the person I hated the most, Wendy's college professor, Bob. My pupils shrank suddenly, and my mind went blank for a moment. This familiar plot also happened in the previous life, but it happened when Wendy was a sophomore in college. She and my dad tricked me into going to a hotel. Just like this time, They drugged me and then sent me to Bob's bed, all just for $100,000 in experimental funds. A father and a sister sold their daughter and sister. It's really ridiculous. At that time, I was still working part-time during breaks to support this father and daughter. They're really worse than animals. In this life, I've given them choices at every turn, but they just had to court disaster. It's the same this time. Then I won't show any mercy. Looking at the two people who seemed completely unfazed, I felt as if someone had choked my throat, and I couldn't catch my breath. I didn't have the strength to struggle, so I didn't choose to resist. I let that father and daughter, who were worse than beasts, lead me into a room and throw me onto the bed. On the other side, a wrinkled and disgusting face was brazenly sizing me up. My eyes suddenly stung with tears, and I silently murmured Marcus's name in my heart. I didn't know why. When I was in such a situation again, the first person that came to my mind was him. The next moment, there was a bang sound next to my ear. The sound of chaotic footsteps approached. Then I fell into a warm embrace, smelling the familiar scent. My heart suddenly felt at peace. When I completely passed out, I vaguely felt the hands holding me trembling slightly, and in my ears were the noisy sounds of smashing and crashing. When I woke up again, I was lying in the hospital, and my mom was crying beside me uncontrollably. "Judy, are you okay? You scared me to death." "Mom," I felt very guilty. After comforting her for a long time and assuring her several times that I was fine, my mom finally agreed to go home with Uncle Robinson. Just as my mom and Uncle Robinson left, Marcus walked in carrying a thermal bucket. He exuded an aura of "keep away" all over, and I couldn't help but shiver. I didn't dare to speak. Only when I saw his slender and beautiful hand holding a bowl of porridge did I come back to my senses. I reached out to take it, but with a sizzle, I accidentally pulled the needle tube in my hand. Marcus gave me another cold glare and launched a personal attack. "What's in your head? If you don't need it, you can donate it." I gave an embarrassed smile. I originally wanted to retort, but then I suddenly remembered that he had saved my life, so I quickly put on a smile instead. "Brother, thank you." Before I could finish my 800-word thank you speech, Marcus interrupted me. His usually pleasant voice was a bit hoarse. "Are you stupid? You clearly knew that your sister had bad intentions, yet you willingly drank the wine she gave you. If something happened to you, how could you have faced your mom? How could you have faced?" He choked on the last sentence and didn't say it, but it was obvious that he was very angry. Suddenly, an indescribable emotion welled up in my heart. "But I informed you as soon as possible, didn't I? Besides, look. I'm still alive and kicking now." That day, when I saw Wendy approaching, I knew she had bad intentions. After guessing what she was going to do, I called Marcus. On one hand, my struggle was for the classmates in the private room to see, and on the other hand, I also wanted Marcus to hear it. I deliberately drank the glass of wine she had put something in according to her intention and even accidentally spilled some on my clothes. Maybe Wendy's repeated setbacks recently had made me complacent. Or maybe the inexplicable trust one had in Marcus made me drink it without hesitation. Sure enough, I won the bet. Looking at the extremely ugly face by the hospital bed, a feeling of joy suddenly welled up in my heart. I could still meet someone who was good to me in this life, couldn't I? I was in a great mood, but Marcus didn't appreciate it and looked at me with a look of disappointment. "By the way, were the people arrested?" I suddenly remembered the important matter. The ward was quiet for a long time. Marcus finally replied to me. "All three of them were arrested. The confessions of the three of them were consistent. They said they went to the wrong room, but the banned chemicals extracted from your clothes are evidence, and they can't deny it." His voice was very calm, but it made people feel very secure. The next time I saw my dad was in court half a month later. He took on all the guilt and admitted that he had put the thing in the wine and that he himself had evil intentions towards me. Wendy acted righteously and made public the crimes of her own relatives and stood up to testify, once a talented university teacher. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was in an uproar. Is he even human? That's his own daughter. How could he say such a thing? I used to take his class. I didn't expect him to be a hypocritical beast. This has shattered my values. I feel so sorry for these two sisters. I wonder what other dirty things they've done behind the scenes. It's so disgusting. My mom fainted from anger when she heard this. I was also shaking with anger. Sure enough, the father-daughter relationship is deep. At this moment, I couldn't help but wonder if I was really his biological daughter. A person who used to care most about his academic reputation actually poured such a huge amount of dirt on himself for Wendy today. A father who has improper thoughts about his own daughter, can he still be considered a human being? He really went to great lengths to protect Wendy. Perhaps sensing my emotions, Marcus pulled me into his arms and blocked countless flashlights that were aimed at me. With my head buried in the familiar scent, I managed to stay somewhat sober after leaving the court. Facing Wendy's provocative expression, I almost couldn't control myself and wanted to step forward and expose her true face. This time, it was my mom who stopped me. She looked at Wendy with a meaningful gaze, but in the end, she didn't say anything and pulled me away. Since that day in court, a crazy idea has taken root in my heart. After such a long time, I returned to the home that made me feel disgusted. I went to David and Wendy's rooms and deliberately took some of their hair. I wanted to verify the idea in my heart. When I went downstairs, I happened to meet Wendy coming back. She, who had become even more repulsive, was standing opposite Marcus, saying something to him. Marcus dodged her as if she were the plague and fanned his nose in disgust. When he saw me, Marcus urged me, "Hurry up, remember to take a shower when you get back. You know I'm a clean freak, don't bring anything dirty back." Wendy's face turned pale, seeing that we were about to leave. She quickly stopped me. Her disgusting voice rang out, "What are you doing here? I can sue you for breaking into a private residence." I didn't care. "Oh, did you see it?" Then, Marcus stepped on the gas and drove away. Wendy was still standing there, inhaling a large amount of exhaust fumes. Instead of going directly back to the Robinson family, Marcus took me to the private hospital owned by the Robinson family. I took out the hair of the four of us and requested an urgent DNA test. Since the result would take a few days to come out, I began to investigate Wendy's college entrance examination results and her relationship with Bob. At this moment, I once again lamented that money is really a wonderful thing. I spent a large sum of money hiring a private detective, and soon some irregularities were uncovered. It turned out that David and Bob had known each other for a long time. Bob held a high position in the academic world, had a complex social network, and was notoriously lecherous. At Wendy's suggestion, my dad told Bob that as long as he waited until I came of age, he would give me to him. In return, Bob would talk to the principal of one middle school and occasionally leak some questions to Wendy to ensure that her grades remained in the top 10 of the grade. I then realized that Wendy wasn't a genius either. Her halo was all bought with selling me out. When the college entrance examination was approaching, even though Mr. Lee helped her with tutoring, her grades were still precarious. For the sake of safety, she went to Bob again and agreed to send me to him in advance. The condition was that he would find someone to adjust the order of the invigilators. Every time the teachers were randomly selected, Mr. Lee was lucky enough to invigilate the examination room where Wendy was. Then, she used the video of a girl she had bullied before to threaten the girl to be her proxy test taker and pretend to go to the toilet to bring her the answers. Finally, she deliberately exposed the girl's actions, causing the girl to be banned from taking the exam for life. I didn't know the specific details of the operation, but just knowing these things made me feel extremely horrified. I couldn't believe that they were so audacious and shameless. At that time, the result of the paternity test came out. Sure enough, I had no blood relationship with David and Wendy. Wendy wasn't my mom's biological daughter either, but she was David's legitimate biological daughter. I felt a dull pain in my heart. I didn't know whether this feeling was joy or some other emotion. I took the paternity test result to my mom. My mom was also shocked. She didn't expect that Wendy wasn't her biological daughter. She wasn't surprised at all that I had no blood relationship with David. She was silent for a long time before she told me the secret in her heart. "Your dad and I didn't get married because we were in love. When I was in college, I was in a relationship with your Uncle Robinson. His mom firmly refused to let me into the family. Plus, we had some misunderstandings at that time, so we broke up. After the breakup, I found out that I was pregnant. I originally wanted to talk to your Uncle Robinson and make things clear, but David told me at that time that your Uncle Robinson was already engaged. I was disheartened, and David proposed that we get married in name only to register the child's household registration and also to preserve my reputation. After much consideration, I agreed. After marriage, I never let him touch me. I also made it clear that as long as I met someone I liked or he met someone he liked, we would get a divorce. For all these years after marriage, I still only had your Uncle Robinson in my heart. I didn't want to delay him. He always said that he hadn't met someone he liked yet and also said that you girls needed a complete family, until, here, my mom burst into tears. Uncle Robinson looked full of guilt and hugged my mom tenderly. No wonder in my childhood memories, my mom didn't often come home and always slept in a separate room from David. I thought it was just my mom's habit. It turned out that their marriage started like this. After a long while, my mom continued. Until I found out that he had those kinds of thoughts about me and even laid hands on me several times. When I proposed a divorce, he refused and threatened me with you two sisters, if I hadn't met your Uncle Robinson again and cleared up the misunderstanding, and if he hadn't been afraid to confront the power of the Robinson family, he wouldn't have finally agreed to the divorce, but he asked me to leave one child with him. I was afraid that he would hurt you. And thinking that you were almost adults, my heart skipped a beat, and I felt a mix of emotions. It took me a long time to ask that question. So, Uncle Robinson is my real father, right? My mom nodded with difficulty. Uncle Robinson hugged her and looked at me with a pained expression. I instinctively looked at Marcus, meeting my gaze. Marcus's eyes were red, and there was an emotion in them that I couldn't understand. Uncle Robinson quickly said, Marcus is the child I adopted. Back then, I was in a fake engagement to deal with your grandmother. I adopted Marcus and said he was my child. Marcus's expression was calm, as if he had known it for a long time and wasn't surprised at all. Marcus, don't think too much. Dad will always treat you as his own son, and you will always have a share of the Robinson family's property. Marcus's expression relaxed, and the corner of his mouth slightly turned up. Okay. It was his reply to Uncle Robinson, no, or rather, to my dad. My real biological father. I suddenly felt a sense of relief in my heart. It turned out that the family affection I had always longed for in my previous life didn't exist at all. The string that had been tense in my heart finally snapped at this moment. The shackles that had imprisoned me for 2 lifetimes were finally broken at this moment. I asked, then what about Wendy? What's her story? My mom shook her head, indicating that she didn't know. I took the paternity test report to the prison and asked to see David by reporting Wendy's name. When he saw it was me, the expectation in his eyes dimmed. What, did you think your beloved biological daughter would come to see you? I said as I held up the paternity test report. After seeing clearly what was in my hand, David's face turned pale, and he sat down heavily. I have nothing to say to you, you're just a bastard. Because of you, your mom will never have me in her eyes. I shouldn't have been soft-hearted in the first place. I should have strangled you together. My pupils shrank, and I punched the glass window heavily. What did he mean by strangling me together? What on earth had this beast done? Perhaps my emotions were too intense, and soon a prison guard came to my side. I took several deep breaths before I could barely calm down my emotions. David on the opposite side burst into laughter, and his voice was disgusting. Your mother gave birth to a pair of fraternal twins back then. My body went limp, and I wished I could smash the glass and rush over to tear this beast apart right now. After taking another deep breath, I picked up another document beside me. You'd better tell me the truth, or I can send your daughter in here and let you two be together in no time. David's ferocious face froze, and he started going crazy, threatening me not to touch Wendy. Looking at this man whom I once called Dad, I felt so unfamiliar with him. The prison guards struck down with their batons several times. With a red face, David then told the truth. It turned out that when he tricked my mom into marrying him, a junior female student who liked him was also pregnant. When my mom gave birth to the fraternal twins, while my mom was in a coma, he strangled my never-seen elder brother. That junior female student had already been given an oxytocin injection and gave birth to a baby girl 3 days in advance. David just presented Wendy as my mom's child and brought her in front of my mom. When I walked out into the sunlight, I felt dizzy, my body went limp, and I fainted in Marcus's arms. After my mom learned the truth, she also fell seriously ill. I didn't plan to let Wendy off. I hired a hacker and exposed everything she had done on the internet, making her feel all the pain I endured in my previous life. Then I sent the evidence to the police station. I sent all the people who destroyed me in my previous life to prison. The Robinson family has a large family business. My biological father specially arranged for people to take good care of them in prison, and I completely let go of everything from my previous life. I started my brand new life. Fortunately, through my efforts, I finally entered the best university together with Marcus. Raymond passed the art exam and was admitted to the music college next to mine. Then he found all sorts of reasons to come to my school every day, saying that I was the only person he knew here. As a result, Marcus would turn his face dark every time he saw Raymond. Under his harassment, I finally made it clear. Raymond, do you like me? He smiled, with a bit of helplessness. I thought you knew. I've been so obvious. There was a sour feeling in my heart, but I still summoned up my courage. Raymond, you're a nice person, but before I could finish, I was pulled into a domineering embrace. She already has a boyfriend. And I hope you won't harass her anymore. I was shocked. When I raised my head and was about to ask the question in my heart, Marcus's soft lips pressed against mine, and my mind went blank instantly. I didn't know when Raymond left. It felt like a very long time had passed, so long that I was almost suffocating when Marcus finally let me go. I was stunned for a moment. Brother, Marcus's voice was domineering and ambiguous as he answered the question I hadn't finished asking. You have one now, me, your boyfriend. Remember, don't call me brother in the future, okay? And don't talk to that Raymond anymore either. Finally, he leaned close to my ear and said, I'll be jealous. I stared blankly at this man who had always stood behind me and still asked, Marcus, are you confessing your love? Marcus ignored me and took a step forward. I chased after him. A long, long time later, when Marcus knelt down and proposed to me, I asked him, Marcus, when did you fall in love with me? His eyes were filled with me, and he smiled and said, maybe in the previous life. Then he put the ring on my ring finger. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.